Okay, we are live with one more DataJazzers live from Redmond. So Nicola, myself, as always, and our co-pilot, Jay.
Here we go.
So
Yeah, here's your hat.
Yes.
and basically, so yeah, we were here last week, and probably you didn't expect us this time, although we announced. But we have Carly here with us. Carly, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome,
to have
Carly.
you.
Good to have you here.
Yeah.
And I think why we have it twice, September update was a pretty huge one. And Carly is here to talk. So we covered dark mode last week, which is what everybody wanted since forever. But I think, Carly, you also have for us something quite interesting, which came out this month. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and a bit about the feature?
Yes. So my name's Carly. I am on the product team and I work a little bit on Copilot things, a little bit on metrics things. So I am here to talk about the show-stopping, groundbreaking, wonderful metrics layer.
Oh,
Not like I had to do
wow.
a build-up.
I love this. I love this intro. Yeah.
So this is one of those things, August. I was laughing because this is one of those things, August. You said like dark mode. Everybody wanted it forever, right? This is what we're talking about today. Is one of those things that everybody wanted, but it didn't know they wanted it, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
This is one of those things like you're like, yeah, of course we need this. Why didn't
Yeah.
we think about this before? So
Absolutely.
yeah.
This is one of those things where the example that I always love to give of why people should use a metrics layer and the problem that everyone has that we always hear about that it solves is how many reports do you have, Power BI reports, that show a measure, that are visualizing a measure in some way, repeated across 4 or 5 different reports that are showing just a slightly different value. Like that is the problem. That is the heart of what we want to solve with the metrics layer and the benefit of it. So yeah, this is a problem that everyone has, but it might not get as much press as dark mode or asks as dark mode, but we love it.
It's even better. Then you're not stressed, right? You're not under pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't be in any more leadership meetings saying, hey, why are these two, usage values not showing the same one? We will fix that problem for you.
Yeah, but can you share a little bit more of a background how you and your team came up with this feature and the evolution of development and so on? I think it's quite interesting to understand.
Yeah, so we've actually been working on this kind of behind the scenes for almost 2 years now. I mean, it's a big feat to build something like a metrics layer, but we're continually hearing from customers that duplicative measures are super, super easy to recreate in every individual Power BI report. And that's why you're getting eroded data quality being shared across your organization. So we were like, all right, let's just make it easy to take those measures, elevate the ones that are kind of the most authoritative measures that should be consumed and should be reused across all of your solutions and make that doable. And, we like to just go one step above and beyond here at Microsoft. So it is a Fabric metrics layer. You don't just use these in Power BI reports. You can use these in other Fabric artifacts too to really nail that data quality across all of your data solutions. So we're starting with Power BI notebooks and data science notebooks as well.
Nice. So you mentioned things, measures that are with checked quality and stuff like that. So it's like promoted and certified data sets or semantic models. Now you go one step below for the specific measure, if I understood correctly.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And we know that people have collections of these metrics, that are meant to be used together, meant to be analyzed together. People can have a sales group of metrics. They can have a, finance group of metrics or marketing. So we've made metric sets, which are kind of collections of these metrics that you can then share and give to disparate teams so that they can go here, find the metrics that they are meant to be consumed and used for that specific discipline or domain. And that's the authority, right? We have that metric set that's the authority.
Okay, okay. Sounds good, yeah.
So it's also a little bit like finally solving the big problem that self-service BI created, which is many versions of the truth, right? And instead of then going back to like, oh no, let's clamp down on everything and let's just do enterprise BI, and no, you're not allowed to do anything yourself. You just always talk to the central team and they manage everything. Here we now say, okay, the stuff that you do, the stuff that you work with, it's all great, and the ability to create reports and insights on your own are good. We want to support that, but we agree that you're going to use these metrics, or you're going to use these central components to do those reporting and analysis on. And so that's basically where this capability comes in to make that journey a little bit easier, or a lot easier.
That's exactly right. And to do that, we have these kind of mini models that are created when you create a metric. So you point to the measure, and even better, you can say, this is how this measure should be grouped and reused. So you can attach different dimensions to a specific measure. And that's what makes this kind of mini semantic model that you can use in all of your other solutions. You can just add that to the semantic model that you're already working in Power BI, or add that little group to your notebook and build a model on top of it.
Just thinking about it, I think feature is amazing. If we go one step back, so when I have 200 models and few 100,000 measures in my company, how do I identify those which should be in a metrics layer?
Yeah, so typically this will be done by either a kind of IT team or center of excellence team. We know that that's a really common way that these are going to be identified and promoted. But if your organization doesn't have a team like that, you can just have a group of trusted creators that are responsible for identifying these one time. And that's it, right? You just have to identify them one time. And then when you save them to a metric set, they're discoverable on the service for all of your end users, all of your other analysts, so that they know, hey, let me go to my sales metric set and reuse this. So it really only has to be done one time. So it's not a ton of work. And I can show you, it's super easy to actually do.
Yeah, before you show us, just one question. So it can be also accessed from Power BI desktop, or is it just in service?
Nope, we know that most of our creators are working in desktop. This is where they live. This is where they're comfortable. So we have made this available in desktop as well. You can access metric sets as a kind of new grouping of data in the OneLake Data Hub or OneLake Data Catalog.
Oh, amazing.
And connect to it there. And it'll bring in that mini semantic model.
Cool. I have one more question before you show us. Sorry, sure. About the naming.
Oh yeah.
Metrics. Because you already have metrics, right?
Oh no, I'm sorry, you're breaking up. I can't hear you.
What about the name?
Network issues. Yeah.
There's nothing to talk about here. What are you talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about. We're perfect at naming. We never have any naming issues. No, it's a good call out. So many of our users will be familiar with, and we know that they love the scorecard capabilities. If you remember way back in the day, those were called goals. And then we shifted to metrics, right? We wanted to kind of differentiate between Viva goals and scorecards. We're bringing those back together. So all of those line items that you now see in scorecards, we're going back to our roots. Those are now goals again. And that is a good way to, and they interact very well. They integrate very well with Viva goals. So all is good there.
Oh, okay.
You have scorecards that have goals, and then you have your metrics layer, which are the true metrics, and these are worthy of the name.
Okay. Yeah, I remember I watched a session like 3 years ago from Tommy Pula. Let me sell you Power BI goals. So he will be happy because he can do this session again with the same name. Okay.
He doesn't have to do anything again.
Like time travel back.
We're going back to goals to make his life easier.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's the whole reason. No,
I knew it.
we're laughing about it, but of course, this is something that we always do at Microsoft, to just, we change our mind and we change names all the time. And I think I went on this live stream before saying that we have a department of name changes. Of course we don't, but this is just something that happens. Well, at least we do have some department that likes to mess with people, and at least.
So we need to create a slowly changing dimension for your namings, right?
Yes. So basically, you can absolutely make a big Sankey chart of how names developed and how it's split into different names, and then suddenly, came back over time.
But as you can see, it always comes back to the beginning. So we are back on goals.
We always have it right the first time.
So you know those websites like where they track which products Google and Microsoft kill. I don't know what killed by Google, killed by Microsoft. We should basically start a website that is renamed by Microsoft, and then we make this big part on there, so you can go over the timeline and go like, what does the original name for metrics? Oh, goals, and then they make it to and they switch back again. Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah, good idea. Good idea. Carly, would you mind if showing us like a little bit of this metrics layer? I think it would be amazing for the audience also to understand better the feature.
And while you are preparing, only thing I'm worried about, we'll now have models and mini models.
It's okay. It's okay. We can trust that the users will know when to use these mini models. They go into the bigger models. It's okay.
You trust users, really?
Users, you trust users. That's a good one.
Okay, and they're both semantic models, so one is just bigger than the other.
They are. Yeah. The metric set model does work effectively like a semantic model, just to make that easier. You don't have to learn how to use the whole thing. So okay. What everyone's been waiting for. Here we have our metrics experience. So we have our home, which we are all comfortable with, we all know and love, and we have our trusty metrics tab on the side here. This is going to do the same thing. It's going to still take you to your scorecards realm, and we are grouping metrics and scorecards together still. They don't share a name anymore, but scorecards are a great downstream use for a metric. In a scorecard, in a line item goal, you can connect to a visual. So now when you have all of your standardized authoritative metrics that are visualized in your reports, that's what you should connect to in your goals. And it's a really great downstream use for metrics because you can do all the things you love in scorecards, give it a target, give it a due date, give it a status, all those things. So here on this landing page now, we have metric sets. This is what we've all been waiting for, people. So for our consumers, this is super easy to do. You can come in here, you can search, if I know I want to find something about a net sales metric, I can see what's going on in this. We saw it for a second there. We can see what's going on in this search.
My dog has great timing. He just snorted when you were saying, like, this is what we're all been waiting for. And he just went.
He says, no, I've been waiting for a walk. Please take me on a walk, okay? He knows. But this is really great. You can use this search to only search for what exists in your metrics hub. So the individual metrics and metric sets. So it makes it really easy to discover. And you know that if you find it here, it's blessed by a trusted creator in your organization. It's meant to be consumed. It's meant to be reused. So let's go ahead and take a look at one of the metric sets that I have available. This is my sales and profits health metric set, and it contains a bunch of metrics over here. I have gross revenue, which is the one I landed on, new loyalty members, expenditures. So these are similar metrics that are grouped together to be analyzed together, to be used together, and I can easily kind of jump back and forth between these metrics and get an update of what's going on. So let's go back to my gross revenue metric. You can see here that I have a ton of visuals over here that are going to help me do analysis. And if I come into my little dimensions tab over here, this is that mini model, right? A creator said, hey, here are the dimensions that are relevant, that are specific, that are important for this metric. And I'm not going to expose the rest of the semantic model, right? My end users, my business users don't need to see that. They only need to see what's relevant for this metric so that they can answer their question, they can get a quick update, they can use those dimensions to see these visuals and do their kind of jump-starting analysis here. And I know that I can trust it.
Sorry, question before I forget. Is it like a perspective on the model or something like that?
Great question. We are using perspectives to create this mini view, but you can think about it as perspectives plus, because you can actually promote it on the service, you can reuse it on the service, you can combine it with other semantic models. So we are using it to create it in the back end, but it's like perspectives plus.
Okay. Thanks, and sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. It's a great question
from my side. So all the measures need to come from the same models or can come from wherever?
Great question. They can come from wherever. So we know that it's, believe it or not, people's organizational data is not really clean. So you might have a net sales metric in one semantic model and you have, my gross revenue metric in another semantic model. I can bring all of those from different models and different workspaces into one metrics collection. And it doesn't matter where they exist in my organization. They're clean here. Clean. We'll see how people can make these messy.
What happens if we have a name clash? So I have net revenue in 2 models, but different calculation.
Yes. So pick the one that should be reused, right? That's the point of this. If you have that exists all the time. We see that happen a ton, right? Your trusted creators or your IT team or your center of excellence team, they're responsible for saying, okay, I have 50 net sales measures. Which one is the right one that should be promoted for reuse? And if you have 2 that might make sense for 2 different disciplines or 2 different teams, you can do that. We won't promote it, or we won't disable it. We do promote that. You can do that. And that's why we have metric sets, right? You can put one in your finance team's metric set. You can have one in your sales team metric set or your operations team metric set. And that's okay. You know, we'll allow people to do that because we know it's not necessarily always the fact that you have one metric that is the right one for every single use case and every single person. So that's okay.
Nice. Thank you.
Yes. One thing I will point out on this screen here is there will be a Copilot summary up here that gives you a nice explanation of what's going on and what's, you know, happening in your visuals. It gives you a nice story to attach to, especially for our business users that can just kind of come in here, read what's going on, see the highs and lows of the visuals here. We are updating that on the Copilot side. I said I worked on Copilot items as well. We're fixing something in that. So this experience is not shown here, but rest assured you will get a Copilot summary when you can see this in your tenants. Now, this is looking pretty good. And I can do my exploration here as a business user, but let's imagine a scenario that's totally never happened before where I, as a business user, want an additional filter on one of these visuals. I no longer have to go back to my report creator. I can take exploration into my own hands by using this little explore button that we have up here. And this will load in Explore just that mini semantic model that has been selected and curated by the author. And I can start to do a little bit of my own analysis here. I can change the visual type. I can maybe add a filter up here if this wasn't, you know, visualized down in the bottom in the background here and all those visuals. And this is really powerful because one, it starts to eliminate that bottleneck that we often see between our business users and our report creators, right? I don't have to go back to Jay every time and say, hey, can you add this page? Hey, can you add this visual?
I always me.
Yeah, because he's the pie chart.
He's the guy. Yeah, we know.
Yeah. I'm like, go add this pie chart, Jay. But I can do all of that analysis here. And it's really nice because I am not exposed to that entire semantic model. Everything that I try to do here and kind of play around with and interact, everything works here because everything has relationships set up. These are the dimensions that make sense with this metric. So it's a very, very safe experience for my business users to kind of kickstart that analysis and enable them to do their own explorations. So really powerful experience.
Isn't it a challenge or a risk that users will want to grow these mini models?
It is, but
yeah, I need to add here this dimension and this dimension because I usually use it and add me those 5 more, and we will end up with 2 big models, one in metric sets and the other one, the original one.
Mm-hmm. So yes, that may happen where our business users say, hey, I also want, you know, my product dimension here. Can you add this? Can you add XYZ? The beauty of this is they can't add it themselves, right? This set and this curation is still protected and still guarded by that trusted creator. So they have the, you know, discretion to add or remove what they see fit based on their asks and based on the knowledge that they have of the semantic model.
Right. And also, I think you should be able to just use a composite model, right? So
absolutely.
As a trusted advisor, as the owner of the metric set, you can say, well, it's great that you want this extra dimension. You want the product there, but we're not going to do that because it's centrally managed. However, you can use this as a starting point and then build your composite model on top of that and add the product dimension there. Here, let me show you. Right, so you can still be helpful and get them on the way without having to sacrifice the integrity of this central set. This should really be your limited common denominator for this particular audience, that's what this metric set's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
And if somebody wants to add something extra just for them, that's great. Use a composite.
Yep. Well said. Here.
I love it how
speaking
our
of
features are slowly coming together, right? Metric sets, composites. We're getting there.
Yeah, it's almost like Jay has an agenda. I don't know.
Yeah.
Weird. Who owns composite models, Jay? No. Okay, so let me just do that again in case I was making fun of Jay, so people might have missed it. But I am going to go from view mode into edit mode, right? So our business users won't have access to this edit mode. This is just for people who are actually setting up and authoring these metrics. But you can see as soon as I went into edit mode, I now can see the entire semantic model here loaded, where I can start to add and remove dimensions. And this is where that control comes in. And then as soon as I save it again, my viewers are only going to see those relevant dimensions. So let's go ahead and add a new metric. I'll show everyone how easy this is to actually do. What I'm missing over here is a forecast metric, so I can actually do some modeling in my notebook. So once I say add metric, this is going to bring up all the semantic models that I have access to in my organization. I believe my forecast measure, if I remember correctly, is in my regional sales semantic model. So let's see. Okay, perfect. Yes, it is. So here I can click on my forecast measure, and this is going to load all the measures in my semantic model. We do have a search because one of the first things that we heard was I have thousands of measures. How are you going to expect me to scroll through these? So we have a search in there for you. Luckily, mine's on top, so I can create this metric from my forecast measure. And boom, just like that, I can see I have the semantic model loaded. And if I have a measure description in the model, this will inherit it here. So it'll pull that in so that all your business context is saved. We don't want you to have to rewrite that. You can change it if you want. You can override it, but we will inherit what exists in the measure. And
anyway, most of the times it will be empty.
Hey now, Copilot, there's no excuse anymore.
Yeah.
No, there is no excuse anymore because Copilot can write your measure descriptions for you, people. So go ahead and do your documentation because we're making it super easy. So that shouldn't be empty.
Problem with this podcast is becoming that each and every feature you have more and more answers. It's hard to find a hole somewhere. So it's becoming a problem for me and Nicola.
That's
we're
a good
trying
problem.
to figure out. Yeah.
That is exactly the problem that we're trying to create here.
Yeah, exactly.
And honestly, if that was the issue that we're having, we need to look harder at our problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so some other benefits here. You can see, you might be wondering, hey, why does this already have 2 uses if I literally created that metric 1 second ago? Like, Carly, are you really that good? The answer is yes. But in this experience, we inherit the usage of that underlying measure because we know that in order for people to really trust this, they want to see where it's been reused, right? They want to see, is this the measure that people are actually using? Is this metric worth my time? And we have that here in the sense of trust where every time I reuse this metric going forward, a new item will be created down here. I can see all the reports that it's used in. But we don't want metrics to have to start from scratch and start that like trust process from zero if the underlying measure has been reused a million times already. We're going to show all of that usage here so that right off the bat, our end users can trust it. All right, so let's go ahead and add some dimensions to this metric and see how the visuals start to populate. We don't have to, you don't have to have this whole creation experience like you do in reports. We're going to do all of this for you. So let's watch the magic happen here. So let's go ahead and add industry. Actually, right off the bat, I'll add a time dimension because all measures should have a time dimension. We'll add my campaign type here, some territory, maybe a product category, and maybe I'll do one in owners. Let's do owner. And so you can see I didn't have to do anything, right? Like I'm here to make people more efficient. I'm here to enable laziness, if we will say it, if we just call it what it is. We're going to do it all for you, okay? I don't love to create reports and create all these distinct visuals. So I really built this feature for myself.
Is this Copilot
I have all the analysis that I need to do. No, so the visuals are not created by Copilot, and that's for a couple reasons, a couple distinct reasons. One, we don't want to hide this experience or kind of gate this experience. People who need who don't want to buy Copilot experiences. So this is done by our existing insights engine, where you have like anomaly detection and explain this increase, explain this decrease. And I know what people are going to say. Sometimes that doesn't work very well. But the beauty of it here is you've already created and curated the dimensions that all those insights and all those anomalies are based off of. So this is going to work very, very well. And you can take my word on that one. I mean, you can see, this is a live demo, and these are, beautiful visuals that are going to help me do this analysis. And I'm done. That's all I had to do. Now I have a metric. I can go ahead and go back to view mode. You can see, this shortened up a little bit, and I can see where it's been reused, and I can start to do my analysis. And if people want to enable Copilot, again, they will have that narrative that shows up right at the top that explains what's going on in these visuals, giving peaks, valleys, summaries, insights, things like that.
This is really nice. This is really nice. I think I watched demo a few months ago, but yeah, this really looks powerful.
So,
yes,
Carly, this is how we know that
add...
the feature we're showing is great, because August and Nicola just basically shut up.
Well,
yeah. I mean, we usually have like Jay's right. In fact, so we usually have like, what about this? What about that? But this time it was like, yeah, we need to process this. But yeah, I mean,
here, I'll go ahead and do that for you, Carly. You mentioned about notebooks. You didn't even show notebook. Oh wow! Oh my gosh! I'm so glad you asked. Let me go ahead and show you. So
what's under the use metric button, Carly? What's there?
Oh, well, I'm so glad that you asked, Jay. Someone's doing their job here. Let's go ahead and say copy code to notebook. And we're making this really easy to use this metric in a notebook to do work on top of, to build a model on top of. So I can really easily copy this. I'm going to go to a notebook that I have open here, and I'll probably have to reconnect my session here. But I'll go ahead and just paste this into my cell, and I can run it. And now comes the time where I just have to talk to fill the space where it takes to run. So what's beautiful here about this experience is one of the main things we hear is, oh, I am a data scientist and I know that the measure I need in my model exists in Power BI, but I can't get it out of Power BI, right? It's not easy to actually get a measure out of Power BI semantic model. So here, we will no longer require people to do reverse engineering to try to recreate that measure in this notebook. We just do all of that work for them. They can use this SemPy integration, point to the code snippet that they need, and put it in here, and then do work on top of it. Wow, perfect timing. So you can see here, this brought in my forecast measure, but it's not as interesting. It's not as robust as I want it to be. So one thing that you can do, and that we will enable this by default in future releases, but for now you can write in your own Python group by snippets, and you can see that I've used some of the dimensions that were identified in the metric itself. So my campaign type and my product category, and if I rerun that, I now have a nice little data frame that I can actually save back to my lakehouse. So it gets that data, this metric data, outside of Power BI, and I can reuse it in other Fabric solutions. So full circle, one lake integration.
Nice. I love that.
Yes.
I love that. I'm a big fan of SemPy library generally, but yeah, this is another cool use case. Yeah.
I think this is the feature everybody wanted, but everybody was afraid to ask for.
Well,
or they didn't know they needed.
I saw through the fear, and we delivered.
Yeah.
No,
awesome.
It ties together everything really nicely, and of course there's like gaps and things we want to improve over time. But I think the starting point here is just really well done, right? It's like, hey, you still have the flexibility to do whatever you need with these metrics. You can use them in reports, you can use them in notebooks, depending on your persona. But also it comes with this trust that the thing that I'm basing my work off of is the one thing we should be looking at together, right? So it basically bridges those two things. So yeah, this is just awesome.
Yeah. And what's the plan? I mean, yeah, I don't know, feature wise or functionality wise for the next few months, or let's say if you can share at least something which is not under NDA, of course.
Yeah. So I will share something that I chatted about at FatCon, which is when we announced the public preview 2 weeks ago. The one thing that the one question I always get when I do these demos with creators is, okay, well, what if I have dimensions here for different metrics that come from different semantic models, and I reuse them in a report. Will my product dimension work for both my expenditures metric and my total sales metric? Right now, the answer is no. You will have to create those relationships on your own, but that is the next like big ticket item that we're working on, is to make that happen automatically and give support for shared dimensions across these metrics and have that work in creator scenarios as well.
Okay,
yeah.
so
And that's kind of like the last piece for it to be super, super inherently reusable and super beneficial. And like that's that missing piece. So that is what we're working on.
Okay, so like auto detecting relationships or something like that.
Yeah. I am not sure how it's going to be built on the back end, but functionally, if you have a product dimension from your regional sales model that works for your forecast metric, and I have a product dimension in my, that's also regional sales, in my store sales semantic model, and I load both of these metrics into a report, those will become one product dimension that I can use to filter and select both of those metrics without having to actually go into the modeling view, create those relationships, and do a bunch of extra work.
So basically what it's going to work like is, hey, we have those two tables, we check they're the same, right? Because if one is bigger than the other, we shouldn't be doing this, right? We need to find another way. But if they're exactly the same, instead of creating basically a one-to-one relationship between them, we're just basically squashing them into one. And I think under the covers, it will still be two separate tables with a one-to-one relationship between them, but you don't see those anymore as separate, right? It's just one that will be presented like that. So
it's like a conform dimension.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So Donald was already saying that Mr. Parrish.
Donald already mentioned that, probably. Yeah.
But of course, like if your list on the one side is longer than the other list, right, then of course this becomes like a bit of a problem. You can of course check that everything that's on here is in there, so then we can probably confirm it. But if they deviate, of course, then it's going to be a bit of a challenge, and we will have to then go with product and product 2 or whatever, right? So, but yeah.
Yeah, good.
Only thing I would ask for here is give me, I don't know, gross revenue measure across all the models in my company. Wherever it says gross revenue in whatever context, give me those measures, and then I will decide which one.
Oh, I see. Yeah, like when you're creating a metric and you create a gross revenue metric, say, hey, this exists in these other places.
What can happen? Companies usually have, I don't know, bunch of models created by IT department, then bunch of self-service models. Each and every of those models, I guarantee, has sales measure, total sales, gross revenue, profit. Nobody can actually confirm without a lot of investigation, are those the same or not? It would be ideal to have search button, give me all of those with their definitions. And then I can go, okay, this one is good, this one is not, and so on.
Yeah, that makes sense as an ask. Really would expedite the creation.
Can be fetched through API or something, but not on UI anywhere.
Right. But then the one thing I'm worried about in that scenario would be, do you then expect that we would override the measure definition in that other report that is you said?
Not necessarily, but I just want to pick one which is promoted one, let's call it that way.
Yeah, because like as the author, when you're setting it up, being able to see and do that investigation in this process here, where you're saying, hey, here are my 50 gross revenue measures. I want to analyze all of them at the same time, pick the right one, and then certify it. Yeah,
and then we can add an extra step that says, hey, inform the report authors of the ones I didn't pick that they're using the wrong one and that they should be using this, right?
Yeah. That would be amazing thing.
Yeah, well, let's add it.
And then we add another button that says, do my taxes.
Yeah,
amazing.
Exactly. Let's do that. Like, so can we add solve world peace as well? So we're just, good to go forever.
Like magic lamp.
Convert everything to pie charts. Oh, Jay.
No.
No.
Yeah.
This will be completely available to everyone, I believe, at the latest November 1st, and that's when the last region I think will roll out. And then the desktop experience will come in the November desktop release, which is mid-November, whatever it is.
Yep.
Cool, amazing. Yeah. We are. I'm sure we are all looking forward to start playing around with that and then
Yeah.
providing a feedback.
Do I need premium for this? What is the?
Yes. So it depends on if you're using Copilot or not. You do have the ability to turn Copilot off per artifact, which is a new metric specific, but otherwise you will need an F64 because it is a fabric artifact.
Okay. So
If you use Copilot, but
Or
if you don't
premium.
use Copilot, you still need F64 or not?
To create, but not to consume.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's also good to know. Good point. Yeah. So for
Mm-hmm.
like smaller organizations, probably, yeah. Still, is there a plan like to somehow offer it in? Yeah.
We have a plan to lower the SKU, and that will probably happen within the next 6 months. So you can expect this to be available more broadly within the next 6 months to a year. I'm going to say 6 months.
Sure.
Put the pressure on.
Yeah, because it would make sense for everyone to use this feature. I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool,
There is an argument to be made that this is less of a problem in a small mom and pop shop, right? That is
yes.
Right. So that's why it's more like
mom and pop shop. Very cute.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be integrated into the American society. So normally in Europe, I would never say mom and pop shop. But...
Yeah, you're on a good way. Yeah.
yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
No more questions from my side. So yeah, thank you, Carly. This was a really amazing.
But wait. Are you letting her go without asking the question?
Oh no! What is the?
No.
Oh, no, of course not.
Augustine is doing that.
Okay. I was just like.
I'm nervous. Carly, I'm nervous.
Carly, with this one, you can go. I don't know, completely out of scope wherever you want to. But question we ask all of our guests: what is number one missing feature Power BI that you can consider?
Oh. And it doesn't have to be related to metrics, or you mean in
no,
metrics?
in general.
No. Anything.
I would put it to Jay's team if you ask me, but
unicorns or whatever.
Okay. Maybe the ability to kind of like you have metrics that can be blessed and reused in other scenarios, versions of Copilot responses that do the same thing, where an author, you can put a human in the loop and say, hey, this is the right answer. This is the narrative that I want to put forth in my organization. So when users ask about things, here's the answers that they should get, and let the LLM craft and curate as it needs to, but you can kind of provide Copilot some guardrails.
Nice one.
Okay. Yeah. Good one. We still didn't have anything like this. So yeah. Thanks for sharing this. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me on. This is great.
We usually use those answers to put it to ideas.powerbi.com and just get some votes.
Like, yes.
Yeah.
That's
using our own words against us.
Yep. I'm glad I just don't have the answer to answer the question anymore, because I think you asked me the first couple times we did this, and then after a while I ran out of ideas.
You're like, I don't know.
I mean, this is the 15th one, 14th one, so nah, it's.
I'm like, dang it, I can't say dark mode anymore.
No, exactly.
No, it was an easy answer previously.
Yeah, not anymore.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
I think we got through it, and Jay was right. So you did, with your team, developed a great feature here, and whatever we do, still cannot find how to. We still cannot find a workaround.
Challenge this, yeah.
Workaround. So I'm not using metrics, but I will make a workaround. I don't see one for this. And I think this will be a great feature. Nobody asked for, but everybody will be using.
I mean,
nobody asked for, but everyone kind of asked for without really knowing.
Yeah, without really knowing. Yeah.
right, exactly. This
Yeah.
is one of those things. And I think also, even if the users didn't ask for this, I think the industry was asking for this, right?
Yeah,
if you look
absolutely.
at like outside of just our normal Fabric / Power BI world, there was this motion of delivering something like what we now call the metric sets, right? The metric sets hub and etc. But then with third-party solutions, right? Like startups and stuff like that. So just us delivering that value built into the platform that you're already using makes a lot of sense and just saves you a lot of time, right? So you can capture on that thing without having to like go through the motions of like finding another vendor and stuff like that, right? So this is also one of the things that why it was being built.
That's great. And Carly, hopefully once this feature goes to general usage, we'll call you back to explain us what those things were since today up until general usage.
Yeah, that I'll pencil it in.
Yeah, and probably we will have users asking questions then. So
yes,
yeah, yeah. Once people start playing with it, I'm sure.
Yes, totally makes sense. Yeah, totally makes sense. Thank you so much, Carly. Thank you so much. This is amazing.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. This is super fun.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Carly, and see you in a month approximately. Basically, it doesn't depend on Nicola and me. It depends on Microsoft. So whenever it's released, we'll be there in a few days.
Yeah, we'll make sure to do something again. But then let's go back to one a month and not like too many, because you know, unless you guys again cannot make up your mind on what to talk about.
Yeah, unless you guys announce so many cool features. So yeah.
Who knows? Something cool is coming. So there's always something brewing and always something in the cooking in the oven. So who knows? But we're not.
Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Keep it up. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you. Have a good day, evening. Bye.